indeed involve tour of his massive shed in which he's deconstructing, I don't know, international trucks of all things, and rebuilding them. So it was an interesting morning, I've got to say. But I
Yeah.
got my rocks, and they're now in the gabions that we've built, and yeah, all things are happening.
Oh well. At least you got your rocks in the show, and you know everything that you need there.
I
At
got
least
my
that's something, mate.
yeah.
Well, let's talk about the markets here because the FTSE has obviously been on an incredible rally to the upside. Little bit of weakness actually this morning in global equities, and you can see here I've just marked off where the gap is in the FTSE 100, and this is the point that I'm really interested to see whether there could be a short, and it was in this area. You know, it was I was talking about the 6,400 to 6,500 area, and it's somewhere around here that I'm really starting to get interested to see whether there's the eventual move to the downside is starting. Lovely trend line along there that looks like we've got a confluence area. Still might need a bit of a catalyst, but I am going to look to see if there are any shorts today. Good morning, Sweet. How you doing, buddy? Yeah, I think that there's a chance. Let's see if we can bring in the pivots as well. This is what we got with the pivots. These pivots always look different on. Yeah, look, we're right on top of this daily pivot here. So, if we think about this in a few different ways, here's the daily, and there's the gap. Gap filled. Now that's almost a green light for this now to go. There is the trend line that comes along down here, which could be a shade higher. It might be tucked in a little bit, but it's somewhere around this area. Let's take it from the uppermost point because that's going to be the easiest. Let's put it on that bar there. Yeah, that drops us in about another 150 pips. The upside is possible. Sorry, mate, what were you going to say?
No, I was just saying g'day to everyone. G'day, Dennis. How are you? Welcome aboard. PL, yourself, LT, and Swee. Hope we're all well.
Yeah, I hope everybody's good. So we are we are looking for a bit of a risk-off session, in my opinion, mate. So can we trade it is the big question, or should we just use it as a buying opportunity? We've got
bloody time.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to be a major risk off. I haven't heard anything huge that would suggest that we're going to get a massive sell-off. But let's just have a look and see what how we've opened up here. Yeah, looks a bit negative. So I'm going to look for shorting opportunities here. Now, let me just see if I've got something in the market. I'm going to take a trade here. I'll have to talk about the trade in a little while. I can't do too many things at once, to be honest. It's just not very good for me. Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to take the shorts here. I'm just setting everything up, making sure I don't miss this one. There we go. Let me just double check this. Nice push off the. Just going to double check. Yeah, like it. Okay, so I'm going to take a short here. Sell that. Sell that. Okay, so I've taken a short in the market. Now we are trading right into the daily pivot here, and I will scale into this potentially. Let me just have a look at a couple more things here before. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I might be about 10 pips too early. So here's the short here. Now I'm looking at this on a short-term time frame really again, and there's no two ways. You can see where the daily pivot is. It's right. We're right on top of the daily pivot, and we might just go sideways here. We've also got this pattern there. So we got this rising wedge, and I suppose I'm just trading this rising wedge, and it is only on a 15. So I'm not expecting a great deal of downside by any stretch. I will calculate whether I can put on a little bit more in a second, but I wanted to get in something. Now that would lead us down to around about 60 pips, and I will take profit there. So the stop loss is really above this area here, so it's 32.90. So let's just mark this off for you guys so you have it.
G'day, Alan. Hi, Helen. G'day, Ganallan. Ganallan? Sorry, is that how you pronounce it? Ganallan?
Right, what we got? So where can I write this in?
You want a rating as well, please, mate, on this trade?
Oh, it's very, very sketchy. I mean, you know, it's the rating of 2, let's call it. So it is a FTSE 100, and it is short at 63. Call it 63.70. It's going to be sort of somewhere around this area here, 63.70. Stop loss at 6,400. There's your entry there. Stop loss 6,400. And the take profit will be 63.12, 63. And it's going to be TP all as well at this stage. You know, if something happens during the day, then that might change. But a take profit all is going to be down at 60. Where am I? 63.70. So 63.10, somewhere around about there. It's about 60 pips. All right, so 30 to the upside. I'm looking for about a 2 to 1. And I'm going to rate it a 2. And the reason I can only rate it, you know, I'm going to rate it a 2. And I have gone in really light here. Rating is a 2. So if 10 is the best, 2 is low. So it's got a low rating because, you know, really we're in an uptrend, right? So why trade to the downside? And I think that argument is fine to be made. So very, 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 very speculative. It's not a risky trade because it's hardly, you know, on my account, there's hardly anything on this. There's practically nothing. So if it just depends if you want to trade the you know, get into the market, and if you don't, then avoid this trade. But if you want to get into the market, it's very, very light. So it's extremely speculative. I wouldn't expect this one to. I wouldn't be surprised, actually. I should say that I wouldn't be surprised if this one didn't really work out at all, because you've got the daily pivot here. You know, there's lots in the way of this here. Now, the only reason so you know, it begs the question: why am I trading it then? If I've got, you know, such small confidence on it. Well, the reason I'm trading it is because this is the job. So if I'm going to make money, I've got to trade, right? So the reason I'm looking for this area for a potential trade is that I think, as with such a huge level here on this, with this gap, I'm just expecting a bit of retracement. Now, the retracement could be as deep as 120 pips. So being after 60 pips, I don't think is you know, too out of the question really here. So that's why I'm putting on a little bit of speculation here. Just looking at people taking a bit of profit. You know, there's a little bit of negativity out there, nothing huge. We've got ECB later on, which we'll just have a quick look at.
I'm going to place this pound trade, mate.
Oh, sorry, buddy. Sorry. Yeah, I always forget that. Yeah, you go ahead.
All right, no worries. Looking for a short at, pardon me, at 125.14. So 1.2514 will be the short entry, and the stop loss for the short will be 1.2592. And of course, the reverse of that will be the case for the buy, and the buy will be at 1.2592. And the stop loss will be at 1.2514. Now, I actually better place this trade. I think it's one day last week. I actually didn't place the trade, which is a bit silly. So we'll go with the sell first. Do you get into Euro Pound, Dash?
Do you know, mate, I didn't get into Euro Pound, and I was really frustrated by it because I did see a setup, but after I'd missed the first entry, I saw an area that was getting a bit too close, which I'll show you in a moment. So I couldn't
It
get
got
into the
very
second.
close to my stop loss, actually.
Oh, did it? Yeah. So you've got taken profit on that one, I presume.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I've looked at it in a bit more detail, and I have to say the love that I had for it has just dissipated somewhat. And I
Yeah,
will
well,
show
I was
you.
never in love with the long, as you know.
Yes,
Just
yeah,
It's just set up.
yeah. I'll show you. I'll show you. Yeah, I agree with you, Matt. On short term time frames, the long was really good, and that's what I was going to trade it off as well. But then I started to look at some of the longer term, and I just thought, there's a bit of could be a bit of a struggle here. So I'm not sure whether I really want to trade it.
And it still is. It's still struggling.
Yeah.
What do we got? The buy is at 1.2592. And the stop loss is 1.251. I haven't updated the spreadsheet, but I think yesterday has tipped us back into the red a little bit. I think I'm not sure how much we lost yesterday. Don't know. I'll have a look at that hopefully before the end of the show and update you as to where we sit. We're pretty much line ballish, I would think. Merkel and 130 billion euro dollar stimulus. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's news. And
Yeah. And that's bullish for the market, isn't it? There's a few things that are bullish for the market, and in actual fact, with the trade that I've got on, I might use it to go long with. I might do a little long to go. I might do a short to go long. I'll see as it transpires, but I might utilize it if it comes down as a free trade to go long and see what happens.
Trading enthusiasm with Ash and Jeff, energy drink. You mean I need an energy drink, Helen? I need more than an energy drink.
Well, we got who's sorry, I've only just got in the room. Good morning, Helen. Good morning, Alan, Dennis, Swee, Roy, Sino. So, where's that? I'm thinking new market products, bottling, trading, and enthusiasm. I've got a feeling that might be saying that we have got energy. Does that mean we have got energy?
I'm not sure. Maybe.
I think that means we have got energy.
It's Thursday and I'm running low on it, I've got to tell you.
Yeah.
But the closer it gets to 1 o'clock, the better I'll be, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, you'll be tip top by 1 o'clock, mate.
I'll be jumping, absolutely. There was a question up here about, or a statement, from Sino, many opportunities for the longs on yen pairs. Okay.
I'm not sure anymore. I mean, it's definitely there definitely was. There was loads. I saw. I was looking through the charts yesterday, just going, geez, these. Any trend traders must have been having an absolute field day here.
Oh, they should be. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's their time to shine, no doubt about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bart Simpson. I haven't got a Bitcoin chart available to me anymore because Fusion have taken it down.
Oh, I've got one.
Have you got one?
Yeah.
By Bart Simpson, I mean, I think you mean the hairdo, Helen, perhaps? I guess so.
Bart Simpson, where's that?
On Bitcoin hourly charts, I think she said.
Oh, I haven't got that message. Why haven't I got that message?
1 hourly.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, talked about Bart Simpson Bitcoin, 1 hour a day ago. Let's have a look. Yeah, I did look. I have been looking at Bitcoin. I didn't see a setup on that one, but we can have a look at it for sure.
Yeah, I'll throw you the screen. Maybe have a look at the yen pairs as well that you were seeing, because I haven't even looked at the charts until I sat down, frankly. So
yeah, no problem. No problem.
I have no opinion at this point. You still there, Ash?
Oh, sorry, mate. You passing it now, are you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Sorry, dude. Sorry.
See, we're full of
I, know-
energy.
I think we do need an energy drink. My goodness. Okay, so here we go. So this is actually the best price for the short here, 63.80. But you probably want to let this 15-minute bar close. Let me just double check something here. Yeah, I like the short here. I like the short. Let me just double check something and see if I want to go. I'm gonna probably add to this point here. Maybe not on this one. Let's do this. So I'll need to bring up my other account. Let's have a look.
I get it now, Helen. You need the energy drink, right? So you can market the trading energy, right? Got it now. Got it. Well, listen, I think we're running out of energy, and we're nearly halfway through the year. So we'll be looking to take a little break at some stage, I would imagine. We'll have a yuck about that and let you know next week when and how long that's going to be. It should only be 6 months or so. Just kidding.
Yeah. We won't be gone for too long, but yeah, as you say, we might need a bit of a recharge. Okay, so Bitcoin. Let's see what we got here.
There's the Scotch Terrier. Never did work out how to trade the Scotch Terrier.
What is the Scotch Terrier? Something with a tail, is it?
There it is there. Look at it.
Oh, I see. This thing here?
Yeah.
This whole pattern?
Yeah.
Why do we call that a Scotch Terrier?
Well, its little ears pricked up there, and
Oh, okay, yeah, like that.
and it looks better in the next level down. Zoom out.
All right, I'm just adding to my FTSE position. Okay, so I am doubling in to the FTSE here. So I've got my both halves on, if you like. Okay, so what have I got to do? I've got to zoom out a bit here, have I?
But that's a definite Bart Simpson. I like it. Yep.
Oh yeah, I like that too. Wow. I see. This is the thing about these charts, isn't it? This is the thing about the Bitcoin chart, is that it does these things. It does these sort of a hugely vicious and volatile. It has these hugely vicious and volatile points of price action. So on the daily, this is certainly suggesting that that 10,000 level. I'm presuming that's what was rejected right there. Yeah, just slightly beyond, wasn't it? But by the time the day had closed, it had come down below the 10,000 level. I know we had that halving issue or situation going on with Bitcoin, so I guess that's the reason that it may well continue to strengthen. But let's just double check it. Does it look bearish? Let's see. If we're going top down. That doesn't look ready for downside. So we're going to go top down. So let's start with a monthly and see what levels we have here. That looks pretty good, doesn't it? Do you know, and this is the thing, you know, I think if you were trying to get into this, you may just be a little bit early. And I don't see the necessity of getting into Bitcoin at this particular stage, because it looks to me that this monthly should give a fairly decent signal. Obviously, it's going to lead us. It's going to be a long way. Let me just move that out of the way a second. It's going to be a long time before. Well, not a long time. But it's only the first week of June. So by the time that June is finished, then I think we're going to get a much clearer picture on Bitcoin, on whether it can actually continue its rally to the upside, or it starts to weaken. Because really, we're at that inflection point where we could continue through this point, and we're just looking to see where does that bar end up looking like that. You know, if the bar closes above this trend line, then really it's good to go higher. And it looks like it's got some open water maybe to that point, possibly to that point, I don't know. But but this monthly bar is obviously it's incomplete, isn't it? So so is it the time to kind of get into Bitcoin short? Doesn't look like it, but it certainly looks to me like we are at a potential area that would be difficult to go long anymore. Now let's just go down and check the weekly. And what's the weekly suggesting? Yeah, the weekly really again is not complete. So this bar tomorrow is going to give us a little bit more detail, but it doesn't look like there's anywhere near enough detail there. What's this on the daily? The daily. Let's have a look at this on the daily. I mean, the daily does have this line here. That does look like it could be the pattern there. Let me just see. I don't really like drawing from low spikes, but you have to say that was respected here. Touch there, touch there, touch there. Looks like we're through. Looks like we're through with the bar. So there is suggestion now that this is coming down. So what I'd want to see on Bitcoin is, I mean, Helen, I think you've picked it right. I think looking at this hour over hour after seeing all that kind of stuff starts to suggest that how do we read China's digital currency versus Bitcoin? I don't know, mate. Is the truth of that. I'm not a crypto expert. I've got a friend who's really knowledgeable about this stuff, and he's really into Cardano, which again is a kind of new one on me. But I'd have to get him on, but I have to invite him on the show and see if he could talk. If everybody's interested in digital currencies, then I could certainly invite him on to talk to everybody about digitals.
Yeah, why don't we?
Oh yeah, well he knows his stuff. I mean, I'll ask him. I might not be able to speak to him next week because we've got an event on the weekend. But the week after, maybe I could speak to him and see if he'd like to come in at some point. And it might not be too.
I've got a couple of questions around that.
Okay, mate. All right. If this is what I'm seeing with Bitcoin, and certainly the Bart Simpson is from on a traditional pattern. Is the head and shoulders, isn't it? I mean, you've got the left shoulder there. That's the head, and we are currently in potential right shoulder phase. And when you look at the weekly and the daily bars, it does suggest that this is probably in play. But by the same token, we also do have this what looks like a rising wedge. Now that obviously is potentially bearish. The rising wedge is a bearish pattern. So a breakdown here would suggest down to these lows minimum, and then at that point, so down to 9,300 looks to me like if it started to break down, that could be a possibility. But right now, when you look at this day, the hourly's trending to the upside. So it would be too early, and if you think about the daily and weekly, it looks like there's loads of time with this one, but you got this kind of area here, fresh high, higher low, currently in the higher high, needs to break down here. When it comes back, that might be the point when there's a lower high there. So if that does create the lower high, that would be the sweet spot. But it still looks a little bit early, to my mind. Let's just bring in some pivots as well, and check out what they suggest, and if there's a point on the pivots.
Helen, where'd you get Bart Simpson from, by the way? I knew I should have copyrighted that many years ago.
Yeah, that's going to lead us right into the daily pivot. So it might even be a day early. You'd really want the price action to be below the daily pivots because it's gonna and this is definitely the target, isn't it? If we think about the if we're looking at this on a we just respecting the pattern, and we have this this rising wedge here. Actually, I'm not gonna be able to move that line, am I? No, I can't move that line. All right, let me do it with an MT4 tool instead. there's our rising wedge there. So the good thing here is that there's a really obvious point to take profit. It depends when it breaks down, but there's a really obvious point down here because that's going to get us close enough to the monthly and weekly pivot. Now that does suggest that that is a buy zone for the month, and it would probably need to break that point. And if it did, that would probably coincide really nicely with the longer term timeframes as well. So the daily, that would be the low of this big daily bar here. I know you can't see it very well because of the of where the pivots are, but when we look at this on a clean, that's going to coincide really nicely with this the low of the daily bar. So 92.20 on Bitcoin looks like a really good point to potentially add to a position which you could go, try and get the short in here with a breakdown of the rising wedge. That would be the way that I'm reading it right now. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, go on, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, no, just passing comment. Bitcoin, it's like I don't know, it's a bit of a phenomenon in my mind. It's not a thing I want to know about. Because it took me too long to learn how to trade currencies.
Yeah.
Now I'm talking about non-currencies. No, I don't want to know.
Yeah, do you know, mate? I agree with you. I think you've got to kind of you got to try and stick in your field of expertise, and if we just trade chart patterns, which as you rightly say, you either trade one market or one chart pattern effectively to kind of get experts at one.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can trade things like Bitcoin and just about anything. If you've got a chart pattern that you've done the research on and you really like, then trading Bitcoin is you got a green light ready for that one. But if you are, yeah, as you say, kind of schooled in a certain field of expertise when it comes down to products, then trying to trade something like Bitcoin does become a bit trickier. But I'll see if I can get my friend on to kind of like go into a bit more detail with this stuff because he really does know his stuff. He was telling me that he's of the mind that Bitcoin is probably the almost the maybe the proxy or the replacement for possibly what gold currently is as the world's reserve currency.
Okay.
Not Bitcoin, but crypto. Sorry, he thinks that cryptos will be the reserve currency. And I think he makes a compelling case for it as well. To be fair, because if we are in this particular phase where the dollar is just or the United States are just racking up debt and debt and debt, then you have to question that what the strength of the dollar will be, and then where do people go? Where will people go? And that's the question. In fact, you were saying it, weren't you, mate, about the dollar not being the reserve currency within our lifetime?
Well, I've been singing that. I've been singing that for 5 years. So it's taken a long time. And
well,
I'm not
kind
right
of.
yet.
Yeah, I suppose, relatively speaking, maybe it's not. It depends. If it was to happen in 10 years' time, relatively speaking, it still wouldn't be. I still think that would be a short time frame because of how long it has been the reserve currency. So, maybe we do have this shift. Now, the question is, do we go to a traditional reserve currency if that was to happen in gold, or do we turn to cryptos? And as I say, he makes a compelling case for cryptos, but I suppose for me, it won't matter in what I trade. It won't make a huge difference to what I trade because it will affect the FTSE in a way, and I'll be looking at how it will affect the FTSE, and I'll trade around it, I suppose. But by the same token, it's going to be something that I need to have knowledge on. And I want to have in my back pocket. I want to know what the situation is. I want to have a decent grasp on it, because that will affect how things like equities can be traded. But
yeah, I remember 7 or 8 years ago, whenever Bitcoin hit the streets, my mentor said to me, "You had to look at Bitcoin." I said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "Yeah, there's this new thing going around that's all about cryptocurrencies." And I said, "Oh, that's interesting." Yeah. He said, "I'm going to have a good look at it." and we never spoke about it ever again.
Oh, right.
And I think it was like $1.50 or $2 or something like that.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah. If
There,
you're
there
one
was
of those
there was
people.
my chance at fame and fortune.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing, isn't it? I remember when it arrived, and you know, it was difficult. It was a difficult currency really to get into, you know, because it seems so speculative. But that's where the money is, isn't it? You know, if you're willing to speculate on something way out there, then Ethereum as well. Yeah, Ethereum and Ripple. You know, they Ripple seems to me like the one that's the most interesting. Cardano as well, that my friend is in, seems to be another one that would potentially be the place to put the money. I think Bitcoin seems to be the one that people know, so it is currently the one that's traded. But I wouldn't be banking on Bitcoin personally. It seems to have a bit of a shelf life, and because it was one of the first, or if not the first, then and it's to do with technology. Inevitably, it's going to become outdated. And I guess that's one of my other problems with things like digital currencies, is that won't they constantly becoming outdated, and does that not make it a difficult space to kind of suggest will be a reserve currency, you know? And obviously, you know, there's a shelf life. There's a finite amount of these coins as well. So you know, with a dollar, it's infinite, isn't it? You could just print and print and print, and
It
you know.
certainly is at the moment.
Yeah, well, you know, but eventually, surely the world has to go back to something which is finite. So it does have some genuine value, because
Yeah,
that's
at
what
the
always
moment,
seems to happen.
I mean, we've been living in a mystery world for many, many years, where somebody tells us that this is worth that.
Yeah,
What?
yeah, um,
But I think
and
it's
yeah,
worth
well,
this. Hang on a minute. How do you argue that point?
yeah, and you know, this is the thing as well. I suppose there's so many things going on behind the scenes, and this is some of the reason I don't get too involved in all this stuff, because it gives me a headache, you know, trying to because my brother was saying stuff about you know, who really runs the world. You know, he's kind of got his theories about who really runs the world. It's not the big governments and stuff, and I'm not denying that that's the case. But I did say to him, look, I don't really care if I'm honest, because knowing how is this stuff, how is knowing this stuff going to improve your life? And when it comes down to it, all I care about is will it improve my trading? And if it won't, then for me it's noise. It's just more noise. It's more kind of you know,
Hmm.
inviting a guest on CNBC and talking about stuff which is at this stage, I just don't know how important it is to me. I don't know what difference it's going to make to the quality of my life. You
Yeah,
know,
I'm with
as I
you.
wander through
Zero to
blindly,
me.
mate. I mean, it's, you know, it's just ignorance is bliss. But you know, as I say, my friend makes a very compelling case for knowing this stuff, and I think he might be talking from a perspective of maybe other people, and maybe collectively, maybe we do need to know this stuff and be able to fight back, so there isn't so much poverty out there. I don't know, but you know, that's a conversation probably for another time, and at this stage, as I say, my knowledge is so minuscule. I haven't got either the right or the intellect to comment on it, if I'm truthful.
Ditto. Yeah, absolutely. I have got nothing to offer, except that I don't think it will be allowed to happen.
Yeah.
That's the
Well,
only
yeah,
thing.
that's the interesting thing, isn't it, Helena? You know, I'm sure you're right. You know, and I think my brother probably is right, and he reads up on this stuff. But I can't help coming back to the same thing, that I still don't know how it affects my happiness and my quality of life. Still don't know. Yes, the Shukri, it has retreated, hasn't it? The FTSE, it's just a little bit. I mean, it needs to get through it needs to get through the pivot. That's the big thing here. So we've taken this trade on the FTSE on the second entry as well. Where are we? So we've got two entries here on the FTSE currently. So this one and this one, and the second one was obviously the real entry, but I just saw a little bit of weakness that might start straight away. So this is obviously the best entry here, but it may go nowhere. This daily pivot may hold this up just enough. But I suspect if we can get through the daily pivot, then we should be able to grab our profit and just get out of the way. And that's all I'll be doing, Shukri, not sticking with this. You know, if I miss a big trade to the downside, then it will come. This one I suspect will come back and give us another opportunity. The market's been way too buoyant for it not really for it not to do that. So let's see. It's you know, it's the second entry. It has retraced away. It has moved away from, but we haven't really started the descent yet. Let's get on to euro pound, because this one was looking good. You know, it has looked good, and I was questioning this point here. I was looking at it overnight, and you know, to be fair, it would have yeah, just be at break even now. This is my problem with euro pound, and after I looked at it, I just thought, I don't know whether I should trade it really. You know, on a short-term time frame, you've got to get the price right if you're going to get in. I think you got in at a really nice level yesterday, mate, and maybe if I was a bit more on top of things, I might have come in with you on your level and analysis rather than my own.
Mm-hmm.
But this is my problem when I look at this on the daily.
Don't forget, I didn't want to trade it long.
No, I know you didn't. Which you know is kind of even better that you managed to get the short on this one. But this is my problem is that you know, is this actually a head and shoulders that we're starting to form here with a trend line breakdown? I don't know what it looks like on a 4 hour. Yeah, it kind of looks like that on a 4 hour, and it does mean it's got that little bit more upside, which means that this area was more than valid. That would have provided a 2-to-1, and don't get me wrong, kind of wish I'd been in front of the chart at the right time to trade it. But that is starting to look like that could happen. Yep. And we just come up there and then we start to fail again. I don't know. I mean, it's, you know, it's there's no guarantee, but this trend line is problematic at this stage. If it gets through that trend line, then really trend to the upside that we've enjoyed with the euro pound will continue, and this is what we've got. You know, really, it's just a halting. We've got certainly
What's
when we
that
look
level
at this,
you've got there, mate? Around about that right shoulder area.
the level I had. Let me see. Let's bring you back. Looks like 0.8980, let's call it. No, maybe a bit below than that. Maybe 0.8970.
Okay, I've got 8975 as the target, and
okay,
that is the weekly pivot as well.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, that would also make a lot of sense, wouldn't it? Especially if this can continue to rally before Lagarde is out. If Lagarde is out and it continues to rally, then it's going to look like a really interesting zone, because maybe after she's finished, then we either get something that does that, or we might just start to halt here, which would suggest there could be possibilities to look for opportunities short instead of long. So interesting chart. I think if you were in, you had to get in down here for this one to be valid. And you managed to do that. When did I get in?
Oh, this was in the US show we traded this year.
Yes, okay. Yeah, we traded this in the US show. It's brilliant, mate. So that is the situation there. The Euro CAD we took profit on also in the US show, and that worked out to actually be the right choice in the end. So I was trading this one on the 5, if you guys remember, in yesterday's show. And because it's traded on the 5, then you have to use the 5-minute trend lines and everything else. So we were in, what was it, the 3rd, wasn't it? In this area, wasn't it? Yeah, it was down here. And then as soon as it starts to move to the upside, so you get this 5-minute trend here. As soon as it starts to move to the upside, then you're really having to use this trend line here as as potential, to squeeze those stops up against. So there was and it ended up being, I think, a 2-to-1 or something, just slightly better, about 2.5-to-1 with that one. And we also traded the pound Swiss, sorry, the dollar Swiss yesterday, which was had the same thing. Now I came out of it not because of a trend line break, but I closed it in the US show because of the ISM number that was coming out. So we also traded this yesterday.
So
which
we had a
worked out.
decent day yesterday.
Oh, mate, it was great.
All said and
I
done.
think
Well, I
made
had
about
a hiccup with dollar CAD, but apart from that, it was pretty good.
yeah. I think this is a 1.5-to-1, so I think it ended up being a 4% day yesterday, which is decent. So that's a decent week's work, never mind a day. So I was pretty pleased with that. But I am a little bit I'm a bit gutted. I missed this euro pound. I really could have traded that with what I had, but I actually went for dinner and I came back. I was like, oh, geez, there was an entry there that I could have taken.
When I saw the pullback, which nearly took out my stops, I've got to say, I thought, okay, Ash will be on that.
Yeah, yeah, I wasn't, mate. I was having dinner, and then I came back and I saw it. Take profit levels on the FTSE you're talking about, Alan? Sure. Now, don't discard this. This is a risky trade. It's a really risky trade, really. But let's have a look at the FTSE and talk about levels again.
There's also a risky one if you wanted to take it on Kiwi US dollar at the moment. I'm not that keen, I've got to say. But if you're really interested in getting into the market, very small stake. There's an entry below the the previous 30-minute bar, and you'd want to get your stop loss above the swing. I'll show you that in a minute when you're done.
No problem, mate. Okay, so that's the pattern here. Trend line down there. What do I have? Unfortunately, the thing is, when things don't break down straight away, then a target is always a soft target, right? That you've got to use. But when things don't break down straight away, then the chance of it bashing its head into the trend line increase.
Yeah,
and if that's
absolutely.
to happen, and that is a problem, because if that's to happen, then we don't have the same target point. But I'll tell you what I quite like. I'll tell you what I quite like with the FTSE. And it's going to be, you're going to have to make a judgment call on this. Okay, so I would draw your trend line in. I would look at this trend line as what happens at this trend line. Do you move stops to break even? Do you take profit? But you're going to have to do something at the trend line. So the 60 pips target that I initially gave, I think it was 63.10. So that 60 pip target that I gave is going to be soft, because there are problems here. It's got to get through. Now, is that trend line there, or is it even? It might be there. It might be there. If we take this touch and this touch, it might be there. This point here at 63.20 is the most obvious place to take profit. Now that's going to run into a trend line here. Take profit or move your stop. So you're going to have to look at the 63.20 area, but don't look at the 63.20 area as the price. Look at the area in relation to what it's showing you on the trend line and the horizontal level. And that's what I've got. So this is an hourly chart, and you can see that on the horizontal level, there is 63.20. Okay, so at that point there. Now, there is a deeper target, and the deeper target is going to be back down to the open of the gap, if you like, where the gap opened, and that's down there. So if you look at this on a daily, then the most probable area for us to pick up a decent long is going to be down at this point. Now, the question really is, do we want to trade the short down to that point and then just flip our position, or are we just going to try and take a little bit out of the market here? And the answer's got to be we got to take a little bit out of the market because we're in such a strong move to the upside. But this area here at 62.50 is the ultimate area that we should be looking for a long, and therefore it's an ultimate area that we could be looking for the market to come down to. So then the question is, do we trade it down to that point? Do we take profit early? And you know, there's a whole host of questions really at that point. So, or do we take something off the table when it comes down to that 63.20 and see if it can run down? But that's our ultimate point there, 62.50. So that's the information that I've got, and I will manage the trade as it moves. So so just be careful not to put anything into a hard and fast. I'm taking it out here. I'm doing this here because it's we've got to take profit on this one, I would have thought, or at least move stops fairly early because we are fighting the trend. So if it comes down, then we're going to have to take action. We can't just go like, you know, relax on this and go, okay, let's move away from our charts and see what happens. We can't really do that with a counter trend trade. We've got to be a bit more proactive. So let's see what that means, you know. But draw your trend lines and draw your horizontal levels. And I've drawn mine on the hourly. You know, you going low in the hourly is just not. There's no information there. On the 4 hourly, we're down here, but there is an area of potential support on the hourly, which is up here. Nothing lower than the 4 hourly for the hourly for support and resistance. But 63.20, my target is 63.10, but we've got to have a look here. You know, what is that going to create? Okay. So mate, now we've missed half an hour bars, haven't we? Sorry about this.
That's right. I've just placed a very small short on the Kiwi. I'll give that to you now.
Fantastic. No worries, Alan. No worries. I guess my point is be flexible when you're trading, but find the flexibility in the areas and kind of look at it and think, okay, what does it need to do here to make me think, actually, I maybe I should start taking profit. I'd never want to take profit at a level without seeing how the market reacted. Really, say never, rarely. I really want to take profit at a level before I see how the market reacts. But if I see the market react by buying coming in, you know, and I'll go right down to a 5-minute chart for that, especially in a counter trend trade, then I need to take action at that point, and it could be taking everything off the table, or it could be moving stops to break even just to safe everything, make everything safe. But yeah, it might not move today. Might be either this afternoon, it might be tomorrow. Who knows? But I do like this area for a short anyway.
Righto. You should have my screen, I think.
We do, mate. Yep.
Screen. Yep. Okay, so there it is. Kiwi US dollar on the 30-minute chart. It is risky, and the reason it is risky is that we are very much in a bull market, and we're counter trend here. We do have a little bit of a potential reversal here. We've got questionable double top, and I'm on a 30-minute chart, don't forget, so this is not substantial by any stretch, but we have had lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So there's reason to believe that this could go short. Do I think it'll go short a long way? Maybe not, and that's not the whole idea. The whole idea is to get a retest of this line here, basically. So I won't be in this for a long time at risk, I can assure you. What I might do is, actually, I'll go back to that chart. What I might do is leave a bit on, and only a little bit on, because we've got an untested weekly pivot here. We've got an untested monthly pivot. We've got an untested breakout level. So this might be worth leaving a little bit on if indeed it does go. It may not go, of course. It may go with trend and a double bounce off the daily pivot and away it goes. I don't have a problem with that if it doesn't take me into the trade. TP1 what I would do here with TP1 is probably, yeah, I think we've had the break and retest. I think I'll take TP1 here-ish, maybe here-ish, there. 63.89. So 14 pips. What are we risking on this? 30. So that's about halfway. So 13 pips, I'd take profit one. And choice, you could either take half off there and let the rest run and move your stops 13 pips from entry, or you could move your stops to entry at that point when we get to there. So stops to entry there. And as I say, we've had our retest. If it is going the way we think it could go, then we can just take advantage of that and let it run down. Maybe if it gets through this level, you can start trading your stops. I'll make that decision if and when I see what happens. But there are a couple of options there. One thing I would say, if this doesn't get to my TP1, I'll probably look to exit if we break the high of the bar that we're actually trading. So I won't let this go back above the trend line, is what I'm saying. So I'll probably just take a small loss there if that were to be the case. We shall see. That's how I'm going to manage this trade, Ash. And very quickly around the grounds, let's see what's happening. Euro dollar, very, very similar to what we've just described on Kiwi US dollar. And there we had a little break and retest actually of that trend line, and we haven't gone too far. We're just hanging around, doing not much at all. It's very, very similar. Little bit of very small double top on the 30-minute chart. Don't really have a significant lower high. That doesn't quite exist yet, and that worries me somewhat. So there may be a pullback here at some stage, and you do get that significant lower high. But yeah, there's a break and retest. That one there, not as good as the Kiwi dollar, and of course we weren't trading at that point in time. So answer no. What would I do now if I'm not in a trade here and I want to trade? Well, we're in a very, very strong bull market, right? We maybe have switched for the briefest time to risk off. That could mean that the dollar is going to rally a little bit, and it seems to be on the dollar index having a crack at getting back above 97.50. A little bit of an
it does look all right,
engulfing,
doesn't it? The dollar today. I've just seen some of the bond yields as well increasing, so it seems like there's a bit of bond buying going on. A bit of bond selling going on as well.
Yeah, look, I think the way I would look at that as the dollar maybe rallies. I don't think it's got far to rally, frankly, and I'll be looking to sell anything I'll buy anything against the dollar if I get the opportunity. So I think today is just short-term stuff.
Yeah.
Are we short the pound? Cheers, Alan. I'll have a look at that in a minute. So yeah, I think today's retracement day, perhaps, and if we can take advantage of that, happy days. There's dollar yen. Sorry, you go.
Oh, I was just going to say, when you get to the pound, I think that the pound today, I was talking to Lloyd before the show. Actually, Lloyd's going to join us in the US show if you're up for that, mate.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Talk about a few bonds and stuff. Yes, the pound. We were talking about the pound, and because there has been an issue between the the UK government and China over the Hong Kong issue. And he was saying that the FTSE.
Got anybody else against China at the moment?
Well, I mean, this is quite. There is, but I was saying that he was saying that it may well weaken the FTSE, and I was like, that won't affect the FTSE, but it could affect the pound. And we may well start to see just a bit of drifting down with the pound because of it, and HSBC and Standard Charter. So anybody interested in any stocks, then check those two out, because a conflict between the UK and China is going to affect UK stocks which are exposed, to Hong Kong, and certainly HSBC is one of those. It's one of the main ones, really.
Yeah, look, I was reasonably pleased with my exit on the pound, and I'm happy to be out of the long for now. We'll see how that pans out, of course. As Alan said, we have been triggered short on the pound, which means, of course, that you have to now cancel your long and switch to a 15-minute chart and trail 2 bars, 2 selling bars, that is. So not this one, don't count this one. The next 2 selling bars, you move your stop loss to the high of the first candle, okay? Or just above the high of the first candle. That is of 2 seller bars. I was going to look at dollar yen, wasn't I? Dollar yen. Wow, this is just such a hard thing to trade. Really is. But when you go back and have a look in retrospect, it actually makes perfect sense. And I was in a short here, pardon me. And then we saw this bar, and we sort of pontificated that that was not a good bar to be in a short position on, and that it could explode to the high side. It did exactly that. And unfortunately, I didn't take advantage of that as I should have. And now that does look to be on a bit of a tear. Why? Yeah, got nothing. Maybe that changes around a little bit if we do go risk off today. But at this point in time, you'd have to say that if you're in the long here on dollar yen, you're probably in a pretty good posse. And I don't see that. Yeah, really. Maybe there's been a retest of that level already. I'm not sure where we head next, to be fair. But as always, I'll be looking for a short when we get the opportunity. Maybe that's the level there. 109.67. Sorry, mate.
Pound yen looks like a decent short as well. I mean, I don't know why I traded with the yen really right now, but the pound yen looks good. I think.
But I'll go to you in a sec to have a look at the yen pairs, because we did have a comment earlier on the yen pairs. But I'll just quickly go through the rest of these.
No, go through it, mate. To be honest, I think we missed it. I think there was a pound yen trade that we could have been taking. That's a shame. We can have a look at it maybe later on.
Righto. Aussie, pardon me. If we do go risk off, then this is one that will retrace and retrace quite substantially, because it is a risk. Pardon me, a risk on currency, and we've seen that in the last 1, 2, 3, 4. How many days? How many? I can't count that many. It's been, oh goodness sake, stabilize. It's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days straight up, as many of these currency pairs have, especially against the US dollar as it has been selling off. But maybe, as I said, today is the day for retracement. We shall see. And if we can possibly trade them, then happy days. That's what we'll look to do. In the Aussies case, it won't be any different to anything else. We'll be looking for a short-term reversal pattern. Bearish engulfing bar might suit that. We've got a lower low, we've got a lower high, and here's where it's all coming unstuck, because we don't know what's happening next. We have, I suppose, broken the... No, we really haven't. We've only broken the support level. I actually like this level here. We might pick up a nice trade here if we're really fortunate. Here's what I'd like to see. I would like to see price break above that resistance trend line that you can see. So something of this nature up to here. Find the daily pivot, or maybe even this level here, and fail to get above it, then come back below the daily pivot, the support trend line, the resistance trend line, the low of the day, and then retest 1, 2, or 3. Don't care how many it retests. As long as it retests 1, then I would be looking to trade that short underneath there. There'd be a riskier trade if you were to trade it from there, and there'd be a riskier trade if you were to trade it from there. But if you see something of that nature, I would be pretty keen to get into a short here, Aussie US dollar. But I've got to see something like that. I can't just go, okay, maybe we're going risk off today, let's jump in. That's not the way I do it. I've got to see evidence to suggest that this can and will go short. And really, for me, that's always going to be a false break of resistance. And there's the resistance that I want to have false broken, as well as the daily pivot, of course, and that confluence area looks pretty good to me. So I'd be okay with that if that does set up. Potentially, we're going to have a look at that in the US session and hopefully pick up a trade there. I do like the level. It doesn't mean, of course, that that level will give me a short. It may give it a launch, but it may launch in completely the opposite direction. We don't know that yet. Pound US dollar, if I'm not trading the breakout here, it's exactly the same. You know, if the dollar does rally today and retrace as we expected it may, and well, it already is, if it goes maybe back to the 98-cent level, then these currencies against the US dollar will obviously suffer at that. And look, I wouldn't be really keen on going too far without taking profit on any one of these, because I think it is retracement only. The question is, where does it retrace to? Well, certainly at this stage it's retracement only, but where does it retrace to? So just look at your levels and take profit at support or resistance. In this case, it would be support, and I would suggest that that one there is the next one after DS2 that we're going through. I wouldn't want to be trading too much short underneath that without taking profit, that's for sure. Dollar CAD quickly. This is the one that caught us in the US session last night. We traded this long, and we got a bit of a whip on the news that we totally mistimed the trade, to be fair. And since then, the news has really done nothing. It's gone sideways. Tough to get interested on this, to be frank. So I think I'll give that one a miss. Dollar Swissy, I think we could also say that that is in a consolidation period. But when I look at this, and we tried to, and Ash got a good one on this yesterday, but I couldn't find a way in. Look at the target yesterday, just the weekly pivot, bang, came straight back off it. I do like the fact that we're back inside the range, but I'm not seeing any significant price action here. If we'd come back here and got a significant higher low instantly, then maybe I would have been happy to trade this again back to the pivots. But we didn't get that. We've just gone straight into consolidation. So I'm a no for that one. Thank you. And Kiwi US dollar, as we know, we've just placed a short underneath this bar here, stop loss up here, and I'll just repeat the management. I'll be taking profit here, TP1 at 63.89, and I haven't really decided yet if I'm going to take half off and move my stops, whatever that is, 13 pips from entry, making it a free trade, or whether I'll simply just move my stops to entry at that point, again making it a free trade, but having a potential bigger reward if it does reverse. I think this has got a fair way to go, so I may just do that. I may just do that. Of course, we've got to break that trend line to suggest that we are going short. We've broken that one, but that's a trade line, not a trend line. So break and retest is what we're actually trading. So there you go, mate. That's around the grounds. They're pretty much going to be the same trade, every single one of these.
Yeah, missed opportunity on pound yen, unfortunately, for some downside. I mean, it might well come back, but look for some weakness today, guys. I mean, if you I mean, you may as well keep the chart, mate. Well, actually, no. Let's make it easy for you and me. Let me just take this 1 second. You finished?
Yes, I am. We've got to look at Aussie yen. We've got to look at CAD yen and Kiwi yen.
Okay, well, let's have a look. I mean, just let's start with the pound yen, because I really, this is a missed opportunity, and just to kind of show you the chart here. this is what exactly what I was just talking about with the euro pound as the problem. But look at this. I mean, this is a head and shoulders pattern off a trend line. Same thing, exactly the same. So there's the entry there, and already that's pretty much at 1-to-1. So so that was a missed opportunity, and I'm not happy about that. And there's also, you know, I don't think you guys have the ability to trade this, but when you come down and look at this against gold, same thing. You know, the pound versus gold, it's the same. Which, if you do have the ability to trade, then it looks to me like around about the 13.59 level. Looks like if it comes back a couple of pounds here, then the pound versus gold also looks like a long. Sorry, gold versus the pound looks like a long as well. So shorting the pound looks like a pretty good opportunity today, which should help that euro pound out a little bit. And I do see the euro pound continue to grind higher here and
Yeah,
you know, grabbing that. It's doing all right, isn't it?
climbing the ladder, so one rung at a time.
Yeah, that's doing well. But let's have a look at the pound generally. So this is the pound Aussie looking negative. You know, is there an opportunity here? Break through that area, then I suspect there will be. You know, you don't really take on Beijing and it not to have a negative effect. And that's what's happened. And that's why that was pretty bad, really, you know, to kind of know and be aware of that news and not trade this. This is the pound Swissy. All of them easing down today. So if you get an opportunity to trade the pound today, then my suggestion would be to have a really good look at it and see whether you can get in, because it appears to me that the pound is the currency to go short on. The yen. So now we're talking about the pound yen, but it wasn't about the yen; it's about the pound. So if we're talking about the Aussie yen, then what do we see here?
Well, it's an easy equation, Aussie yen, isn't it? If we're risk on, then Aussie yen's going to rally. If we're risk off, Aussie yen's going to fall. Full stop.
Yeah, it looks to me like a drift. You know, I don't, you know, I wouldn't be able to pick a direction with this one at this stage. And because of that, you got to stick with the upside. So Aussie yen for me is a long, but that's with a twist of the arm. Swiss yen, were there any others? CAD yen was another one, was it? Again, CAD yen's, you know, looks a bit of a drift today. These don't look very attractive to me. I think if you're looking at yen pairs, you may well be barking up the wrong tree. I think you should be looking at the pound.
Yeah, I can't be bullish the yen pairs at these levels.
Yeah, me too, mate. Me too. I think bullish yen is the wrong way to go. Bearish yen hasn't. Bearish yen hasn't. Is getting a bit lofty up here, but on short-term timeframes, I think it's fine. But bullish yen is just too early. But certainly the pound as you know, being bearish the pound, I think that's the currency to trade today. So
Could be the
have a look at it.
Yeah,
I think so. Yes,
well, we
yes,
can do with
right,
the boost in the account. That's the point. So
yeah.
Hopefully that goes nuts.
Well done, Alan. I think the oh, sorry, you were saying about the pound dollar. Well, you've got two pound trades on now, mate, and they're both, in my opinion, the right the right side of the pound. So I would have thought you'd get a pretty good run today out of your trades with the pound.
Well, let's hope so, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good. That's good. At least one of us is on top of that, which is fantastic. FTSE looks like it may well have closed that position on. Oh, not quite. Still in the FTSE, but it's you know, looks to me like it could be a bit of a choppy scenario. Still think that it'd be unlikely to go long here today. But I'm going to manage it as I go. I might even I will probably stay in this trade. I've given you guys the stop loss levels because I think that's important, but I might well stay in this trade and just give it some time. Okay, mate. Well, that's us for the day. Obviously, with the pound weakening, the FTSE is likely to strengthen as well. So bear that in mind, everybody.
Yeah, I'm done. US session, of course, we will be back in 4 hours and 53 minutes and some seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, whatever.
Yeah.
And those of you who will be there, look forward to your company. Those of you who won't, then thank you for your company this week. And we hope you've had a positive experience and managed to put some money in the bank as well. That's what we're here for.
Yep, absolutely. See you next week, guys. Same trade time, same trade channel at 5 to 8.
That's a date. Don't be late. Have a good weekend, guys.